Hey, hi everybody. It's springtime in Ohio, and that means it's time for the Ohioana Book Festival 2021. Welcome, friends of Ohioana, as well as anybody else who happened upon this website by fate, interest, serendipity, divine intervention, whatever. I'm glad you're here no matter how you got here. I'm Gregg Sapp, author of 6 novels, each of which is set in Ohio, mostly in Columbus. At Ohioana, I'm particularly promoting my Holidazed series of loopy, satirical novels. Every title is set around a different holiday. Also at Ohioana, I'll be participating in a panel discussion on contemporary fiction, which will take place Saturday, April 24th at 5 p.m. So why don't you check that out before dinner. Today, I'm going to do some readings from the Holidazed series of novels. 4 titles published so far are The Christmas Donut Revolution, Halloween from the Other Side, Upside Down, Independence Day, and Murder by Valentine Candy. There's a 5th novel, Thanksgiving, Thanks Gotten, Thanks Gone, due out in October. I was going to pick a representative passage from each novel, but I couldn't decide on one. So I decided that instead I'd pick a random process. And I took the total number of pages in the book, divided by 2, and opened it up to an exact middle. So I'm going to read from the corresponding number in each book. The first that was published was The Christmas Donut Revolution. In this passage from page 106, a pay-it-forward streak has broken out at a donut shop in North Columbus. Huck Karp, the protagonist, decides that he is going to stay until the very end of the streak, no matter how long it takes. It's 1:45 p.m. Huck had already decided that he would not leave when his shift ended at 2 p.m. He'd invested too much heart and soul in the pay-it-forward streak to clock out and walk away, as if he could just hand over something so fragile and precious to the care of the next crew. The streak was something worthy of his ideals and aspirations. He needed it, and it needed him. Ms. Johar, though, would probably forbid it, even if he waived his right to receive overtime wages, hell, even if he offered to work for free. To continue, he would have to make a stand, and if he had to sit right down on top of the counter and refuse to budge, in the spirit of so many of his non-violently resisting heroes from the past, damn it, that's what he'd do. He almost hoped it would come to that, for the glory that came with standing up for a cause. So, when Ms. Johar emerged from her office at 1:45 and started erasing the names of the first shift and writing assignments for the second onto the master schedule, Huck emboldened himself with a slug of high-octane dark Java and marched over to confront her. "Please, no," Huck said, taking her hand to stop her from expunging his name from the board. "I am staying." Tank, the next nearest person to them, put down his spatula to listen. "There's no need for that, although thank you, Huck. We're adequately staffed." "I know, but I can't quit. Not while so many people are still paying it forward. I won't." Ms. Johar stiffened and dug in her heels. "I cannot allow that. You must realize that there is nothing more for you to do. Soon this pay-it-forward business will be over, and then it will be as if it never happened." Huck seldom raised his voice, and he felt a palpable rush of adrenaline when he amplified. "Nothing happened? So far, 280 citizens of Columbus have joined this movement. Each and every one of them is invested in keeping it alive. They all share a piece of the dream, through their words and their actions, for no other reason than the desire to share their love with fellow human beings. They have created something to unite all of Columbus. Together, we are strong, we are glad, we are proud, and I am not leaving." Tank started clapping slowly, saying, "That was beautiful, kid." Next is a passage from Halloween from the Other Side. The scene is in a bar in Columbus, where Solomon Zuck, the hero, who owns a pop-up Halloween shop that has just opened, is having a beer with his friend Stu, whose wife is a fundamentalist Christian. I should also mention that, so as to not offend any sensitive and delicate ears, I am sanitizing actual curse words and replacing them with substitutes from the TV show The Good Place. You'll know when they come to them. Daphne is on the mother-all missions from God, Stu's side through a beer foam mustache. When Stu called Solomon to propose that they get together at the Blue Danube for a couple of beers, he'd said that he looked forward to catching up. While it was true they'd not spoken to each other for a couple of years, Solomon suspected that Stu had ulterior motives. Probably it had something to do with Daphne. It almost always did. Unfortunately, that was the only subject that Solomon honestly did not want to talk about. It took 3 beers and several superfluous topics of conversation before Stu finally got around to the point. Solomon patiently listened to Stu rant, ramble, and inveigle. He kind of enjoyed the performance. Stu's rhetorical bullshit was practically an art form. As soon as he mentioned Daphne, though, his tone became guarded. When he invoked her name, Stu chose his words carefully, as if balancing his desire to express honest opinions against his duty to defend her. Solomon noticed how Stu glanced around the room, checking to see if anybody was listening. Solomon hoped that if he let his jaw drop and his eyes roll, Stu would move on to another subject. Sometimes dumb looks worked. "Don't give me that dumb look," Stu said. "You heard me." "Oh, I heard you. I feel for you, truly I do," Solomon said. "I imagine it's hard living with a wife who's on a mission from God. It comes with some perks. But I can't see how that affects me." "I think you do," Stu said. "Oh, not again," Solomon moaned. "We've been through this a million times, Stu. Daphne disapproves of how I make a living. She thinks that Halloween is some form of state-sanctioned demon worship. She condemns me and my little store because she believes I am being unwittingly manipulated by nefarious forces. But if I confess and renounce my evil ways, she thinks there might still be some hope for my salvation. That's her mission from God, but it's the same old song and dance, year after year." In Upside Down Independence Day, Maisie Tuttle, our hero, is attending a summer literary treat taught by the once famous progressive novelist Roscoe Ololo. But the class doesn't quite turn out to be what she'd hoped for. At that moment, Professor Ololo swung open the doors to the seminar room and sang out, "Enter, writers, come, come, come." The professor seemed to be in a good mood. This puzzled Maisie. She had become accustomed to his irascibility and patronization. She excused these attitudes as byproducts of his brilliant creativity, because in her experience, happiness and intelligence were inversely related. Seeing Professor Ololo with a shirt-eating grin on his face did not jibe with her assumptions about the curse of genius. Before anybody could sit, Professor Ololo crisscrossed his arms and said, "Get into your groups." Maisie thought, "Oh, fork me not again." The team of strangers gathered. Rufus high-fived El Jefe. Kwong gave a thumbs-up and opened his laptop. Tara Ali's loose dress swished and briefly covered Rufus's face as she walked past him and sat. The 4 of them exchanged hugs. Seriously, Maisie thought. Hugs? She lingered at the end of the aisle, pretending to look for something in her purse. Professor Ololo pointed to Group 1. "Have you finished your manifesto?" And finally, I'm going to read from Murder by Valentine Candy. Huck Karp, again, Huck is in a novel, but now he's a sociologist at Ohio State University. He's been arrested for the murder of a famous conservative podcaster named Adam Erb. Huck's girlfriend, Tati, visits him in prison. Handcuffed and accompanied by a guard, Huck entered a cell on the other side of the window. He half smiled at her, and while the guard unlocked the restraints, in a baggy prison jumpsuit, he looked like he'd lost weight, even though it had been just over 24 hours since his arrest. He pulled his hair back and tied it into a stubby ponytail. He sat across from Tati, and she pressed one hand on the glass window between them. It was something she'd seen people do in TV shows. She'd also seen movies where women pressed their boobies against the window, flashing them as proof of their love. Tati wondered if she could slip one breast out of her bra discreetly enough so that nobody other than Huck could see. As if reading her mind, the guard at the end of the hall shot her an "I'm watching you" look. Meanwhile, Huck lifted the phone receiver on his side of the glass and gestured for Tati to take hers. "Oh, Huck," she sighed into the phone. "What's going on?" Huck tapped on the window and showed her his phone, pointing to the correct end to speak into. Tati turned it upside down and tried again. She wanted to slap herself. Could I look any more stupid? "Thanks for coming," Huck said. "What's it like in there?" "Oh, it's not exactly the Hotel Levesque, but I've seen worse. Did I ever mention that I was once arrested before in an act of civil disobedience during Occupy Columbus?" "No, you never said that. But, Huck, killing Adam Erb wasn't just an act of civil disobedience." Huck scratched his chin as if contemplating this distinction for the first time. Tati pressed for more information. "But are you okay? Has anybody hurt you?" "Apart from being unjustly arrested, brutally interrogated, denied my rights, and forced to live in sordid, inhuman conditions, well, I'm fine." Tati moaned. "That's horrible." "True that. The American penal system is disgraceful. The facilities are practically medieval, with clogged urinals, gnats in the bunks, black mold growing in the drains, and a persistent yellow drip coming from the ceiling in my cell. I'd sooner bathe in bilge water than use the shower here. The food is tasteless, not to mention devoid of nutritional value. However, the other prisoners are all decent enough folks. They call me professor and ask me for legal advice. They're all innocent." "All of them?" "So they say." "Do you really believe them?" "Oh no," Huck said. "I only believe the black ones." So there you have it. I hope that's whetted your appetite for the Holidazed series and also for Ohioana. Remember to check out that panel discussion on contemporary fiction on the 24th. I'll be there, and I hope you are too. Bye, everybody.